built a glass paradise way too high than the bubble pop. The silent sound of foreclosure signs are all over town. I got a bad loan, I promise they believe. Now the dream is over, they're feeling deceived. I watch from the sidelines, patient and cool, playing by a different set of rules. All I wanna do is and up and do is take the window. All I wanna do is and I'll cash up hard and watch the funds grow. This is straight up capitalism. Shit, shit, boom, sweeping up the pieces with the concrete. Boom, wanna do, wanna do, wanna do. Get a call from my contact, a whisper on the phone. Another empty unit, the speculator is gone. He says a shame with a crocodile tear as he sells me their future for a fraction of last year. The paperwork's easy, a cash only deal. That heartbreak and panic is my next big steal. They get a cardboard box, I get the ocean view. It's nothing personal, it's just what I do. And a casual body, take your condo. And a casual body, and watch the wind. This is straight up capitalism. Chick, chick, boom, sweeping up the pieces with the concrete. Boom, when I do wrong, when I do wrong, when I do. Some myself ask for a quick return. Some I rent out, let the lesson burn. They call it a crisis, I call it a sale. In this concrete jungle, the strongest prevail. No funny business, I am the business. They sold you a lead, now I'm the witness. Seek your condo.
Happy Thursday, Miami. This is Condo Capitalism, a 1-hour conversation about what's going on in the real estate market as it pertains to saving money, finding deals, and maximizing how much cash you can make when you're playing the real estate game, whether it's a condominium, single-family house, and today we're actually going to be talking a little bit about commercial space. I'm Peter Zalewski. I'm a condo consultant. I'm an expert witness. I'm also the founder of the Miami Condo Investing Club. I have a special treat for you today. Everybody's wondering about, can I go in? Can I invest? What's it going to cost me? How long does it take? So you know what I did? I reached out to people in my network and I found a general contractor. This gentleman, he works on the commercial side, he works on the residential side, and more importantly, he has a construction process that actually could cut that energy bill in half. Yeah, I'm not bullshitting you, in half. And he can speed up the process. So ultimately, from the time you break ground to the time you're able to move in and get your TCO or your CO, it's all expedited. So let me go ahead and bring in our general contractor. We're going to talk big picture about how all of you are going to be able to maximize what's going on in the real estate world and be able to get the market quicker and ultimately, hopefully, put some cash in your pocket in these challenging times. So let me go ahead and bring in Kevin Calienes, and he is the CEO. He's a certified general contractor. He runs Chaos Construction, although I will tell you, his job sites are not chaos. And if you're wondering how to go to his website, it's KHAOS construction.com. Kevin, how's it going? Thanks for taking time.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Greatly appreciate it. How's everything going today?
Everything is fantastic, Kevin. You know, everybody always wants to talk about contractors. They want to talk about zoning. They all know the real estate side, but they don't actually know how to get it over the finish line. So talking to a general contractor and somebody like you can actually share information about whether it be labor. Can we get labor, costs? What about tariffs? How much have tariffs driven things up? And what about the process to actually build? And one of the questions, Kevin, I'm going to be asking you is, why the hell every time you bring in a contractor, the guy is there one time a week? Every Monday he's there, and the rest of the week he's not doing anything, you're sitting around. So don't answer it yet, because I want everybody to stick around and kind of get your answer to that. So, Kevin, I think the best place probably for us to start is, let's talk a little bit about you. You have a very interesting history. You went to med school. Medical school, yes. Everybody's hearing that. He went to medical school, so he went to try to help people out, and now he's helping out owners to try to put together their real estate. He's also an avid fisherman. He's been fishing since the age of 3. Kevin, tell us about it. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been always an outdoor type of person. Video games really were around, but not really in my possessions at the time because I was always on a bicycle, playing scooters, fishing, doing all types of stuff, activities with my parents. So I've always been the type of person to be outside building things with my dad, and lo and behold, working construction.
So where does medical school come in?
Medical school came into effect when my grandfather got sick, and then it really didn't like the way they treated him, and I was like, I got to make a difference. I got to make a difference. And then when I started my journey, I realized that I was going to be stuck, and I didn't really like the field, so I pivoted and I went back into construction, and here I am now.
Wow, that's interesting. General contractors, you guys are highly sought after. It's really hard to kind of find a general contractor, especially one who shows up and does everything they say they're going to do. Everybody's got a horror story about this general contractor, that general contractor. So, I've heard some good things about you and your firm, ksconstruction.com. Remember, everybody, KHAOS construction.com. Kevin, could you sort of talk about that? If people look at contractors in general, they might form one opinion, and then what niche or groove does that sort of create for somebody like you who actually shows up, you do what you say you're going to do, and people are able to actually have a process that is transparent and you will get it over the finish line?
It's very hard to find contractors that actually show up or even answer the phone.
Much like real estate people.
Yeah, like we've gotten jobs, and just because we've shown up to the job site or to the property or to wherever it's at, it's like, oh, you're the fifth contractor that we've called. At first, it's a red flag. You're like, okay, why haven't you gone with the other four? And then it's like, oh, because they just haven't shown up. They don't answer the calls, and it's like, okay, walk me through the property. What do you need? What do you need done? What do you want done? What are you looking at? What's your thought process? And then from there, we try to help the client out. But one thing that I see a lot of people having problems with is with contractors that are the clients that go with the cheap contractor, and those are the ones that always run into the problems. And that's why with us, we try to strategize everything and plan everything, and ultimately give the client what they want. So a client that's looking to have $1 million project at a $200,000 budget, that's where things started going to that gray area. So that's where you really see those bad contractors take over, and they give a lot of horror stories to good contractors. So
Yeah.
that's something that we do see a lot in the residential space. So for all those good contractors out there, keep doing what you're doing, because you're putting the golden path down for us.
What's also interesting too, Kevin, is we've been on an upward trajectory, I would argue, down here in South Florida since 2012. It's pretty much been up. We had a little bit of a pullback right after the pandemic breaking, and then we surged again. So we have really good cleaning out of anything, whether it be, well, maybe we did on the restaurant side, but we really didn't have it on the real estate side very much in all facets. And, it's like Warren Buffett says, you don't know who's naked till the tide goes out. And I bet there's a lot of people out there who may or may not be able to sort of continue going forward once there is a shakeout. I remember during the Great Recession, I had big developers everybody on this podcast would recognize, asking me for jobs. They couldn't find work. And what it did is it forced them to really sort of, refine what they were doing and kind of focus on the critical parts, so they could be, I don't know, they scalable, not scalable, but more so weather resistant. They could get
Right.
through an up or a down. And my thought is, we have a lot of people out there who basically haven't faced a down market. It's only been an up market. And therefore, if you're playing on the cheap side, we'll see if you're still around once things shake out.
Exactly, and that's the whole thing. How are you able to keep up with everything if you are, I don't want to say it, but a cheap contractor, or having the cheapest price, or just trying to skate by? Because realistically, you have a lot of things that keep your company up and running. You have your insurance, you have your overhead, you have your liability, and a lot of contractors don't account for that when they're doing their bids and stuff like that. So they give a great price. They think they're giving a great price, but automatically they're negative right out of the door.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's things like that where you see a lot of the flush out and the shaking of a lot of contractors.
So Kevin, if we can we do a Google Earth? We'll sort of be macro, and then we kind of drive down. I
Okay.
want everybody, because I don't know where the audience is. They're all over the world. We're on Spotify. We're here. We're there. So generally speaking, when people are talking about a contractor or a general contractor, when there is a job and you're doing it with permits,
Mhm.
because sometimes in Miami, so you're doing it with permits. You basically need one point person. And correct me if I'm wrong. One point person who's responsible. So when stuff goes down, whether it be the homeowner, the business owner, and or the regulators, or the state, or the municipality, one point person that they kind of go to. So that's effectively the guardian, the custodian, basically, who's the tip of the spear. Am I getting that right?
Yes, yes. So typically, when we're going under contract to go ahead and renovate any property, whether it's commercial, residential, industrial, you always need a general contractor. So there's three levels in construction for licensing. You have your residential builders, which are residential contractors, sorry, which those can only work. Those are certified contractors that can only work in residential. You got your building contractors that can do residential and commercial, but up to a certain limit, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 3 or 4 floors. And then you have your general contractors, which can do residential and commercials, and we don't have any limit. And you need one of those contractors, depending exactly where you're at, whether you're residential or commercial. You need a certified contractor, and then he's the one who's in charge of the electrician, the plumber, the mechanical, and so on. So you do have that lead point.
Okay, and again, so everybody else knows. So if you're the general contractor, we'll call it the GC. We'll go back and forth on it. So if you're the GC and you're bringing in, let's call it the subcontractors, those that have a specialty, whether it be mechanical, electrical, plumbing, any of that type of stuff. So the tip of the spear on anybody you bring in as part of your overall package as a GC working with the client, that person also needs a general contractor or some tip of the spear who's licensed, I'm assuming, by whatever the necessary regulatory bodies are.
Correct. Yes, you do need one.
All right. So it all kind of follows all the way along.
Right. Yeah.
So generally speaking, I mean, you're born and raised in Miami. You're a unicorn. Increasingly you got people born and raised in Miami, but there's not really a lot percentage-wise. How does everybody do the work without a general contractor? And I'm just talking big picture. Are these people maybe learned it somewhere else? They picked it up along the way because they're a handyman, they're a laborer, and then also too, what's the risk if maybe somebody out there who's watching this, they picked up a property, whether it be a condo, a house, anything, and they're like, what, screw it, it's going to cost too much. Let me go ahead and do it on my own. What are sort of some of the risks that that you're aware of? And I know you're not an attorney, you're not working for a municipality, nothing like that. But generally speaking, is it like a civil penalty? Is it like, could it be criminal? Because again, if there's something wrong with the construction, it could lead to, it could have bad results. I want people to understand why, they might want to just kind of play by the rules, even though this is Miami and everything seems to be suggested rather than enforced.
For real. Okay, so I'm gonna give you 2 answers on the criminal side and on the civil side.
Yeah,
So,
I never want to hear the criminal side.
we'll go with that one first. So on the criminal side, you'll have more of, I don't want to say criminal, but it's just, you have your handymans and the people who do construction without a license and do remodels and stuff like that. So essentially, on your first offense, it's a $10,000 fine, if I'm not mistaken, a slap on the wrist. And then the second time you're caught again, that is when it turns into a felony charge, and you can serve a certain amount of jail time, and you're penalized also. So that's on the criminal side. And on the civil side, let's say you yourself, you're handy. You bought a property and you want to go ahead and renovate it. You pulled all the wires because you know how to do electricity because you saw it on YouTube, and you put your electrical panel upgraded, and you upgrade your electrical panel. I'm sorry, and then you go ahead and you flip your main breaker. Your whole house catches on fire. Your insurance is not going to cover that, because number one, you're doing work without a licensed contractor, and now you burned your house down. So that's on you.
Interesting. So not only is there potential the civil and the criminal side, but also too, if you mess something up, you might basically fall out of your insurance coverage. Talk about getting hit on all sides. My gosh.
For real. It's something that you should always consider using a general contractor or a licensed contractor to do and perform any type of work.
Yeah. Now, red tags. I always hear about red tag, and anybody listening doesn't know what a red tag is, and maybe it's got different terminology now. But basically, when guys go in there and they're doing their own work, they're swinging their own hammer, they're trying to do stuff on the weekend so the inspectors don't see them, and they get caught. What happens is they put a red tag. I don't know if it's still red, but they put it on the front door. It says you can't go forward. You got to go to the city, the municipality. You're basically in violation, and then that turns into a whole type of process where you get the inspectors involved, the government's involved. What do you guys? What can you tell the audience about these red tags? And are they still red, or have they changed the color to maybe orange or something like that?
No, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they're still red, and it's a seized work order. So essentially, you're not allowed to step on property. You're not allowed to do anything until you have your formal paperwork and documents are resolved. So hopefully, any contractor that's doing any type of work is photographing all types of aspects and scopes and milestones of their projects. So that, if they do come into a situation like that, they have all their documents and all that stuff, so that you can present it to your inspector and your engineers that can do all the X-rays and back scoping and all that. But that is super, super expensive. It's actually more expensive doing that type of damage control from the red tape than it actually is getting your license, getting the permit, and going through an architect.
Yeah, because now you're going to be under greater scrutiny, I would imagine, because they're like, okay, if they did this, what the hell else did they do? Let's get in there and sort of check it out.
Exactly.
Interesting. Yeah. So again, people watching, if you're thinking about doing it, you might have a good run, but if they catch up with you, you're going to be jammed up. And also too, if you're on a schedule, like I know some guys who do what that's called wholesaling. They'll go and they'll buy a house directly from a seller, doesn't want to work with a realtor. They'll then do a fix and flip. Effectively, they're in and out. They got to be in and out the whole thing in basically 120 days or 4 months. So if you get jammed up with a red tag, that could just blow all of the numbers sort of involved with that. Kevin, if somebody is out there and they're doing, the wholesaling, and they kind of want to play, maybe they were in the gray and now they want to kind of go on the up and up, to do like a rehab of a house. And I know you do residential. You'll do additions, you'll do remodeling. You're doing commercial side with storefronts and other things, and then also too we're going to get into that last one, which has to deal with a way to cut your energy bill basically in half, as well as reduce your insurance exposure because of this technology related to construction. But basically, does a fix and flip? Does that work with a contractor if you have a 120-day process? Generally speaking.
Yes, if you have the team in place. What I mean by that is you already have your contractor, you already have your architect, you already have your engineers, and you already have, for example, a permit expediter or a permit runner, as better said. If you have all of those people in your Rolodex, is what I like to call it still.
Yeah, right.
You can already have the momentum to bypass so many loopholes and so many hula hoops with that team, because you don't have to go out and start looking for an architect. You don't have to go out. So they can already go ahead. They can go in, look at the house, draw the plans out, write the engineering scope, put everything together, submit it to the city, and you can have a permit within no time. So essentially, yes, it can get done. And then while that time that you're in permitting process, you're already choosing out the tile, you're choosing out the kitchen, you're choosing out the vanities, and everything else for the house. So it's just go, 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 go.
And what do you think the normal range would be, the realistic range for like one of these fix and flips, if you're going to do it properly? Is it 4 months? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Any kind of ballpark, just looking at it? Some house built in 1970s, whatever the case may be, it's not Rockstar, over the top. It's going to probably retrade for $400,000. Guys picking up for $250, $275. Maybe he's buying it. It's got a demolition order on it, something like that. What's normal, generally speaking?
For time frame, as far as doing all of that, I mean, if you're going to go ahead and you already have your team with your permits and your architects and all that, you're probably looking at a base time of around 30 to 45 days, depending on the amount of work that you're going to be doing and you're submitting to the city. But from day one of construction to finish, you're probably looking at anywhere between 3 to 4 months if you have everything already planned out and everything works out perfectly, which never does, but as long as you're planned out, you should be pretty fine.
Yeah. Now again, because we're kind of talking big picture. Generally speaking, when somebody goes out there and they get quotes from contractors, sometimes people get caught up with the shiny object, and what I mean by that, and let me put it in kind of my world, the condo world. You might see the price per unit is X, But when you actually drill down into it, you're going to see the price per square foot is crazy. Where it's much like gasoline. Like, if you're buying gasoline, you probably look at the price per gallon, or maybe buying salty snacks, how many, what's the price per bag? But then you look into it and you say, okay, shrinkflation, I now have less of the product inside of it, but they're still charging me sort of the same. Do you have any tips you can offer to anybody who's looking for a general contractor in terms of big picture rules of thumb? How can they gauge? How can they evaluate one contractor to another on an apples to apples basis? Any kind of things to watch for, or any kind of red flags people might see big picture as they're kind of playing the game?
Yes, I always tell my clients, if you don't go with me, that's fine. I can help you choose your contractor. What I like to look for is the speed of when they presented the proposal to you, as well as the level of detail they have in their proposal, and what are they giving you, what are you getting back as the consumer, what is included, because what happens is that a lot of contractors are very vague in the proposals, and they start change ordering you to death. So a project that you had planned for 150,000 turns out to 200 because it's not part of my proposal. Which, those are things that you have to read. You have to go through it with your contractor and try to be in detail as possible. So those are the things that I try to tell my clients: read your proposals and look at time.
Read the proposal and look at time. Yeah, that's probably some really good advice. And if somebody's out there looking to hire a general contractor, whether it be on the commercial side or on the residential side, maybe they just parachuted in. They bought a place. Now they're thinking about opening up a business or doing all that. How many general contractors should they sort of reach out to? Do you have any suggestions? Is it kind of like when you're going to look for a car, or maybe you want to look at 3 or 4 different brands or something like that? Any recommendations in terms of searching for a general contractor? And is there any critical question they asked them other than the specifics? I'm not even going to try to play with the word. Other than the specifics when you're looking at the proposal.
Yeah, they shouldn't be calling anybody else. They should just be calling us. No, but jokes aside, maybe about three contractors. That way you can see the difference of quality between all three. A lot of contractors give their details, like I told you, what type of proposals and budgets they're giving you in your scope of work and in your proposal, so that you can already see a true budget. Me, when I go ahead and I give a proposal, I try to be as detailed as possible so that you can see, this is my entire project, what it's going to cost me from start to finish if I don't deviate from here or change anything. A lot of clients go through it and they say like, oh, wow, I'm surprised that it only cost this much. And a lot of clients are like, oh, wow, we should have listened to you and we should have just stuck with this. And then now we're at a budget of 200,000. So it's things like that a client can really deviate and drastically change, or it's if you stick to the plan, everything can go ahead and work smoothly as on budget for those clients. So just have 3 people you can go out to.